We are with another chapter of the book Ask and It Is Given. Today what we're going to do is we are starting the second part of the book, which actually consists of processes. I'm sure you've all been waiting for this. And we are going to start from the back of the book, from the last process. So process number 22, which is moving up the emotional scale. So that's where we are going to start. And then we are going to work backwards to process number 1, because as Abraham has explained in the introduction, which we went through last night, process number 22 is for those people who are in the lower half of the emotional scale. And as we work our way to the smaller numbers, we are working our way towards being up in the vortex. So the reason I want to start right at the bottom is so that if any of us are in that place where we are at the lower end of the emotional scale, that we can have the exercises and the processes to do with the explanation that goes with them in order to bring ourselves up the emotional scale, because that's where I would like to end. I would like to end this wonderful book study right at the top of the emotional scale. Okay, so let's get started. When to use this process, I'm just going to read the first little bit. When you feel bad, that's when you do this process and are having a difficult time feeling better. So you kind of feel stuck. Or when something has happened to you or someone close to you that has knocked you off your feet. Like it's like, how did this even happen kind of things. And Abraham gives examples of that. Maybe somebody's died, maybe somebody has a problem that you can't figure out. All of those are good situations for using this process. When it has been necessary for you to deal with a crisis, or when you have been diagnosed with something that's frightening, either you or someone that you love has been diagnosed with something frightening that has its grip on you. When your child or someone very close to you is experiencing a trauma or a crisis. So anything that has you in the lower half of the emotional scale, this process is a good one to do. And when you look at the labels, so first of all, I don't think that using the labels is a very good idea. And Abraham says that as well, because different labels mean different things to different people. We don't, even though we have a somewhat understanding of what those words mean, but the depth of emotion, you can't tell how someone else is feeling. So Abraham says that this process is suitable for people who are all the way from fear, grief, depression, despair, powerlessness, all the way up to number 17, which is anger. So you can go and review the emotional scale in order to get a better idea if you want. And I'll show it to you right over here. Can you see that? Maybe you can, maybe you can't. Okay. So what I'll do is I'll post a picture of it. When I do the video editing, I will post a picture of it in here. The main thing I want you to focus on is whether or not you're feeling good. And like we've talked about in the past when we were studying part 1, if you have a benchmark for what joy feels like, then it becomes easier for you to know whether or not you are in a state of joy. And similarly, if you have a benchmark, so you've been there before and this is your benchmark, then it's helpful to compare against that benchmark to say, where am I on a scale of 1 to 10? I find it easier to do it that way, and I am going to suggest that you try and do it that way because I think it's a useful way of being able to utilize this process. Okay, so going back, So these are the important words that I picked up from this chapter, which I'm going to read out to you. Deliberate creation is really about deliberately achieving an emotional state. So using words, thinking thoughts that deliberately help you to achieve an emotional state that you want to achieve, because you understand that that shift of emotions is what is going to give you the manifestation or the life or the feeling that you want inside. Feeling peace and satisfaction. I guess that's what we all want. Okay, guys, I'm just going to post this YouTube link for everybody. Here we go. So if you want to join us on YouTube, we are live on YouTube just now. Okay. So then Abraham gives examples, and I absolutely loved these examples. When you do not have enough money, you want more, but what we want you to understand is that having money and not having money is actually about the feeling of security, right? So a vibration of abundance is a vibration of feeling secure. Feeling insecurity is the opposite. That's a lackful vibration. So Abraham says the distance between having money and not having money is the distance between insecurity and security. Once you practice the thought that makes you consistently feel more secure, the money must follow. Then the next example is about health, and Abraham says health situations are all about feeling fear and feeling confidence. When you are sick, you want to be well, but the distance you are traveling is not from sickness to wellness. It is from fear to confidence. Once you practice the thoughts that make you feel more confident, the physical improvement must follow. And then lastly, Abraham gives us the example of relationships. When you have no mate, you want a relationship, then that is the difference between feeling excitement or satisfaction and the feeling of feeling lonely. Once you practice the thoughts that make you feel excitement or anticipation, the perfect mate must follow. So you see, that's how we identify what we are reaching for. So if you're looking for a relationship, look for that feeling of anticipation and excitement. If you're looking for money, look for the feeling of security. And if you're looking for health, then look for the feeling of confidence. Okay, so there's another example about a car, and I'll read that to you. I'm not happy with my current car. So Abraham is explaining the difference between the words that we offer and the vibration that we feel, because they are words that we are offering to people, but they are thoughts that we are thinking inside us. So the desire, the statement of desire when you talk to the universe might be, I want a new car. But what you're actually thinking in your head is, I'm not happy with my current car. I feel embarrassed by my current car. I feel disappointed that I don't have a better car. My neighbor has a better car. I feel angry that I can't afford a better car. So all of these statements come from a place of lack. They don't come from a place of confidence or a place of security. So they're really not sending out the right vibration that will bring us the thing that we want, which is a new car. Similarly, there's an example about health. So when someone says, I want to be well, that's what they're saying. That's what they're asking for with their words. But if in the background, when they go off on their autopilot or when they're talking to a friend, they're saying things like, I'm worried about my state of health. I'm disappointed that I didn't do a better job of looking after myself. I'm afraid that I'll end up like one of my parents. All of those are negative thoughts, and they're not going to help us get closer to what we really want. Lastly, Abraham gives us an example of a work situation where Someone is saying, I want a new job, but vibrationally what they're saying is, I'm angry because my employer does not see my value. I feel bored, or I feel unhappy with my current salary. Now, those are not positive things to think about. So that they actually generate a vibration that is the opposite. It's not taking you towards feeling confidence or security. It's not taking you towards feeling excitement. So that's what we want. When we talk, even if we are trying to explain something to someone else, you kind of have to reach a point where you can draw a line and say, that's it, not going further. Don't want to talk about it just now, because you don't want to activate those things that are actually harmful for you. Okay. If you will make the improved feeling or emotion be your real destination, then anything and everything that you want will quickly follow. And that's the important thing to understand, because that is at the basis of this process that we are studying today, is all about going up the emotional scale. So Abraham says, how do you find out where you are on the emotional scale? Now, I gave you a suggestion based on my own experience, which is benchmarking your emotions and then just using a simple scale of 1 to 10. But we are here to study this book. And in this book, Abraham has listed 22 different emotions. And the way they're suggesting that we figure out what we want is by comparing two emotions. So first of all, compare between joy, which is right at the top of the emotional scale, and the bottom, which is powerlessness. So ask yourself, do I feel powerless or do I feel joy? Well, if you're not feeling joy, so now you can shorten the gap and say, am I feeling satisfied or am I feeling doubt or worry? And where am I? Am I feeling bored? Am I feeling frustrated or am I feeling powerless? Pick one. No, it feels more like being powerless. Doesn't really feel like frustration. Okay, does it feel like worry or powerlessness? Maybe it feels like worry, right? So only you can tell where you are. And Abraham says, find out where you are and then start doing the work. What is the work? Well, the work is all about self-talk. I call it soothing, and so does Abraham. I mean, this book was written a long time ago. Today, if you were attending an Abraham workshop, this process that is called moving up the emotional scale, Abraham would call it soothing. So when we are low down on the emotional scale, the first thing that we have to do is to soothe ourselves. And I teach that, I call it the 4-step process, where you know where you are, you know where you want to go, then you soothe yourself first, so that's step 3, and then you increase positive momentum towards what you want, that's step 4. And if you're interested in finding out more about that process, it is in this book, Thrive. And the first time that I wrote about the process was actually in the Prosperity Puzzle. Both the books have examples. Prosperity Puzzle has an example with respect to money, and then I think Thrive has examples to do with relationships as well as money. Okay, so now Abraham then takes us through an example of a woman whose father made his transition, and she's going through all the different stages, and you can see how her language is changing as she goes up the emotional scale. So this is a really good example. I am going to read the example to you. I find that in the book, in this process, even though Abraham has given us examples, but they haven't really shown us how to do this work on our own. I am going to show you how you can do this on your own with whatever situation that comes across. So I'm going to read through this first, and then I'll show you how I teach my coaching clients to do this process. Okay, so starting right at the bottom, which is grief. I did everything I could think of doing to help my father, but it wasn't enough. I miss him so much. I can't stand him being gone. How will I be able to soothe my mother? Despair. Every morning when I awaken, the first awareness that I have is that Daddy is gone. I shouldn't have gone home to shower. Now, guilt. I should have stayed right there so I could have told him goodbye. I should have realized how close he was to going. Again, guilt. I was there day and night, and I still didn't get to say goodbye. That's rage, that going towards anger. So you're going up the emotional scale. The woman who was with him knew very well what was happening. Rage again. How would she like it if the shoe was on the other foot and I put her father into a coma? Now that's revenge. So revenge is a sweeter thought than rage. She has seen many people die and she should have warned me that it was close. Now it's back to anger. So rage has a lot more momentum, is an emotion lower down, and anger is a little bit above that. I think she knew and didn't want me to be there. That's again anger. She gave him more medication than he needed just to make it easier for herself. Blame. I wish I could have said goodbye. That's disappointment. So we are going up the emotional scale. There are too many details to attend to and I don't really feel like doing anything. That's being overwhelmed. I've been neglecting so many things in my life. I need to regroup and get organized. The healthcare professionals are insensitive to the families of the sick and dying. That's frustration. They're more concerned about picking up the oxygen tanks than about how I feel. That's irritation. It will be good to spend more time with my own family. Now we're getting into hopefulness, so the positive side of the emotional scale. It will feel good to get back into the swing of things at work. That's positive expectation. I know that in time I'll get to feeling better. Again, that's positive expectation. I don't know if I'll ever feel the way I felt before, but I know I will feel better in time. There are so many things to do and so many things that I want to do. I'm so looking forward to smiling and meaning it and laughing and really feeling it. That's positive expectation. I appreciate my husband so much. He's been helpful in so many ways. I do appreciate all of those people who have cared for my father and mother. Again, now we are into appreciation. I appreciate my sisters. We all love our parents and we love each other. All things considered, we have lived and are living really wonderful lives. Death is a part of life. Since we are really eternal beings, there's really no such thing as death. Daddy is not gone because there's no such thing as death. Now we are up to knowledge, knowing, having a knowing. He's in a place where sadness doesn't exist. That is truly a wonderful place to be. I love knowing that he's in a place of utter joy and understanding. I so adore this glorious earth experience. I love knowing how all of this fits together. I love having this wonderful man as my father. This has all been good. This is all good. So this is the example that Abraham has given us. And yes, it is a good example in the sense that it shows you how to go up the emotional scale. But a couple of years ago, I think it might even be maybe 2012 or 2013, Abraham taught us another process for going up the emotional scale, which I want to introduce to you over here because it makes this whole process of going through the different levels of emotion a lot easier. And what Abraham suggested was that we ask the question, how can I say it better? Because every time you ask that question, your mind and your inner being will feed you a thought that feels just a little better, and you can use it to go up the emotional scale. So in the book, How to Pray So That God Listens, this is a book of 100 different rampages of appreciation that take you up the emotional scale. Again, the book is divided into two parts, just like Ask and It Is Given. The first part is about understanding how to communicate with that which we call the universe or God. And the second part is about how to go up the emotional scale using examples that are in this book. So inspired by Abraham, this process is called better. each process in the book emphasizes a word. So I'm going to read this to you. Today I want to think on purpose. Today I want to think thoughts that create ease and flow in my life. I realize that I can always say it better. I know that what I say creates my reality. I know that I can say it better and create a better reality for myself. I rendezvous with the things I think about. I can say it better. I'm getting better at rendezvousing with the things I think about. I can say it better. I'm pretty good at rendezvousing with the things I like. I can say it better. Can you see how tiny the shift is going up the emotional scale? Just a play on words, but it really is going up the emotional scale. So I'm going to keep reading. No matter what I'm rendezvousing with, I like it because it is an indicator of what I'm doing vibrationally. I can say it better. I love the contrast that helps me to clarify what I really want. I can say it better. I love finding out what I really want. I can say it better. I like being the creator of my own reality. I can say it better. I like controlling my thoughts to create a reality I like. I can say it better. I like directing my thoughts in positive ways. I can say it better. See, as many times as you say, I can say it better, then the next thought that comes is going to be slightly better, and it will slowly take you up the emotional scale. So this rampage goes on for another 2 pages. I'm not going to read all of it, but what I am going to say is if you want to check it out, I did post it way back when I wrote the book. I was posting these every day on my Facebook page. And so if you did want to go and check out the whole thing, you can do it in 2 ways. You can go and look for it on my Facebook page, or you can grab a copy of the book, How to Pray So That God Listens. Okay? So let's go back to Ask and It Is Given. Basically, as we soothe ourselves, as we find things that help us to feel just a little bit better, we can go up the emotional scale one tiny little step at a time. And so examples are really helpful, but basically what you're looking for is to soothe yourself, to feel better. And I'm looking for another one to share with you. And here it is. Okay, so the thing about doing the 4-step process, so knowing where I am is step 1, knowing where I am on the emotional scale. Step 2 is knowing where you want to go. Well, you want to go up the emotional scale. Step 3 is to soothe yourself. And the thing about soothing yourself is when you say things that you want to say because they'll make you feel better, they have to be things that are absolutely 100% true. So if you were someone who was working on a relationship, then step 1 is my fear is that he or she does not care for me. Step 2 is that you want them to care for you, right? So step 3 then is to soothe yourself. I know it feels like he doesn't care, but he's still here. We're still together. If we're still together, that does count for something, right? So now you're soothing yourself. Step 2, another statement, it's not just him. I've been so upset this little while that I haven't been myself either. So you see, again, you're soothing yourself. You're making yourself feel better about the situation. I know he's really busy. I know he's always working. I do appreciate how hard he works, right? So again, this is a soothing thought, and they have to be thoughts that are 100% true for you. And then you keep going and you end up, first you appreciate, and then you end up in first you soothe, and then you end up in appreciation. And appreciation goes like, we've had so many good years together. We've had more good years than not, right? That's an example of appreciation. So if you want more information on the 4-step process, which is based on Abraham's material here, I'm going to post the link to a video that I did a couple of weeks ago that goes further into how to do the 4-step process to help you along. Okay, folks, I think that's it for tonight. I hope you enjoyed this. This process, how to go up the emotional scale, this is the most basic process. And remember, you can do it in 2 ways. You can say, I can say it better, or you can say, which thought feels better, which is how you fork your way. Abraham used to call it forking your way forward. Which thought feels better? Does it feel this way? Does this feel better, or does this feel better? So saying things like, I don't have any money, versus saying, I'm sure money will come. Which thought feels better? Which one of these two, when you say them, feels better? Go with the one that feels just a little better, because the whole idea is tiny steps up the emotional scale. All right, that's it for tonight, and we'll be back tomorrow with another chapter of the book Ask and It Is Given. Tomorrow, the chapter we are going to look at is called Reclaiming One's Natural State of Health, process number 21. All right, folks, I'll see you tomorrow. Take care and enjoy the rest of your evening. Bye for now.